Hey, everybody.
Hey there. My name is Joe Smizer. I'm a senior Google Workspace engineer here with Trifera. And on behalf of everybody from Trifera, I'd like to welcome you to the Deck the Domains event, a Techy EdTech holiday event for Google Workspace admins and educators. We're thrilled to have you join us today. As we get started, I would encourage you to check out the chat. There is a link to a Google Doc that has an agenda inside the Google chat. That agenda has additional links for our breakout sessions later today, as well as links to slide decks and getting started handouts and all sorts of additional resources. So be sure to check out the agenda inside of the chat. Additionally, as we get going, do you mind advancing to the next slide and we can take a look at where we're going to go over the next couple of hours? So as we go, just take a look at what's on the docket, what's coming up. Here in a couple moments, Dr. Josh Ratliff will lead us through our main session of the day, 5 EdTech trends that matter in 2026. After that, we'll take a quick break and we'll transition into a couple of different breakout tracks. So we'll have a teacher track as well as a Google Workspace admin track. And for each of those, we'll take a look at new features inside Google Workspace. We'll take a look at how we can use AI in the classroom or as Google Workspace admins. And then we'll wrap up with some new features, AI tools, as well as cybersecurity tips for those Google Workspace admins. But again, thank you so much for joining us. It's gonna be a great event. I'm gonna hand things over to Kate for a few other housekeeping announcements.
And I get the fun job of talking about the giveaway, which I love. I feel like Santa. Josh always says that he gets to feel like Santa. But so if you got here through an advertisement, an email, you probably saw that we're giving away DoorDash gift cards for everyone as a thank you for being here. Just a couple things so that we know you're a real person before we send that off. We just have 3 different qualifications for you to get that. So this is how you're going to get that gift card. First, just stick around. We need you around for the call so that you're here at the end to take the exit survey. It's just a couple questions, like I said, to help us know you're a real person, not a robot trying to get a DoorDash gift card. And then lastly, you needed to have registered with a valid school email address or complete that survey with an email address. We're not going to be sending anything off to Gmail account, so make sure that you're using your school email address for that. So pretty simple, right? And you get a DoorDash gift card, so something to fill your tummy up around the holidays. Like any of us need that, I guess. But all right, that's all I got. I'm handing it over to Josh to really get this thing started.
Hey, all right, here we go, friends. So the hub for all of the information that we're going to be sharing today is in the chat. If that's the most important thing, you've got to navigate over to the chat right now. And you will see a message that was posted by Anna earlier that says that all of the links for today's resources, they're all contained through that agenda. So make sure you navigate over there, find that. Anna and I are going to guide you through 5 EdTech trends that felt like they were starting to hit pretty hard in 2025, and we believe that they're going to go even further. Let's go ahead and go to the next slides, and we'll do introductions. In case we haven't met, it's an honor to meet you. It's an honor to lead this first session. My name's Josh. I lead the education strategy for Trifera, and I have my favorite wing person with me, Anna.
Hey, thanks, Josh. We won't tell the other people on this call that you said that.
I know.
I'm sure they weren't listening.
I know. Yeah, they are coming in for later too. Yeah.
Yeah,
we heard it. We heard it.
Yeah, they're like, we're sitting right here. Yeah. I'm Anna Hanrahan, and I'm a teaching and learning consultant with Trifera and a former teacher and entrenched in all things AI right now. That's kind of my passion, AI in the classroom to help enhance teaching and learning. So I'll be talking mostly about that throughout today. I'm excited to have a great day with everyone.
Yeah, it's going to be a big time. You can go ahead and hit that next slide. So here's how this is going to go. We're going to talk about 5 EdTech trends. This is not just a set and get. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Dawn, for engaging. Those reaction buttons are for you and they're for me. If you're hitting those buttons and I feel like you're engaged, it's going to be a lot better session for all of us. The format is this. I'll introduce a trend. I will talk about the current state. Thank you. That is awesome. Yes. I'll talk about the current state of where I think that trend is right now. I'm citing research for that. And then all of the researched articles are contained in the slide deck, which are contained in the agenda. So you got to go over there and find that. after I've introduced that trend, Anna and I will work through a little bit of your and our responses to this. So if you are a note taker, you probably want to grab your notebook and your pen, because this is an active session where you and I are going to get involved in this thing together. So let's talk about we'll go in reverse order. We'll start with number 5. That AI infused instruction up until now has been seen as something that is kind of interesting, maybe an experiment, is something new and exciting. I think that's going to start to change into something that's more of an expectation and more of a normalcy. Let's look at some stats right now from RAND. We see that about a quarter of the teachers that are teaching in our buildings are probably using AI for either planning or for teaching. I would say that the lion's share of that is just for planning at this point. Probably fewer of us are actually teaching with this technology. And about half of our administrators are using this in some form or fashion. COSN polled IT leaders around the nation, and they reported that AI and the emergence of AI, how this is integrated into teaching and learning and into our policies, is as high as the second-ranked most important topic for them right now. Let's go ahead and hit that next advance button for me, Kate. Thank you. Looking beyond 2025, I believe that teaching with AI is going to become less of a novelty. Right now, if there's somebody that's teaching down the hall from you and they're using AI, they're probably known as the techie teacher. Moving into 2026 and beyond, this is just going to become a normal thing that we all do. And this last bullet here on this slide is the one that I really want to stick the landing on. If you are an administrator and you're in the room, or if your administrators have been in their position for 3 to 5 years or more, they have never taught with AI. They have never given feedback on AI. And we have to be really careful about this. The example that I normally use is I watched a Netflix documentary not too long ago on bodybuilding. And you can take one look at me and know I don't know that much about bodybuilding. And so while I was watching this documentary, I just saw all of these athletes who looked incredible. They had muscles stacked on top of other muscles. And to me, when I watched the documentary, if I was the judge of that, I would just give all of those athletes a perfect 10 out of 10. But I noticed that the judges in this documentary had something that I didn't have. They had the ability and the vocabulary to coach these athletes from good to great. They could tell the difference between mediocre and good. They could tell the difference between good and excellent. And when an athlete came in and they had something to bring, they could really coach that athlete up to the next level. And here's the thing that I'm afraid might be happening a little bit right now in EdTech is we see technology-infused instruction specifically around AI, and it's very impressive. And our tendency is just to celebrate that and say, hey, what an excellent use of technology. And I'm afraid that without careful attention to detail here, we might just be promoting mediocrity. So let's go on to that next slide, and I'll get some feedback from Anna on this. Here around Trifera, we've started to outline what we believe high-quality AI-infused instruction looks like. And so we frame that in the way of a model that we call the impact model that asks these important kinds of questions. Is AI used to just to increase student thinking, or are we just trying to replace it? Are we using AI in ways that can help differentiate instruction, or are we just making life easier? Which I'm all for making life easier. I'm not here to criticize like work smarter, work harder. That's not what I'm saying. But hopefully if we're doing this right, we should be doing more than just making life easier, but also having a real impact on teaching and learning. Kate, if you'll go on to the next one, I'll let Anna pick it up from here. But I wanted to talk, Anna, because I know that you've got a little exposure to this for like continuing ed as a practicing educator, developing skills around what to look for in some of these degree and certification programs. Can you talk a little bit? And Kate, actually, if you want to hit the next slide, yeah, this Gemini Certified Educator course, you've been into this a little bit. Can you give some feedback?
Yeah, and I just want to kind of follow up on what you were saying there with that impact model. And with all technology, just not using technology for the sake of using technology. And that trickles down to AI as well. I mean, if you have something that's working really well and it's effective, I think we're getting into the sphere the teachers are like, I feel like AI is being pushed on us and we have to use it for everything. And that's not the case. I mean, it has to be meaningful and it has to be transformative. And, just because you created a lesson with AI doesn't mean that that's better than that tried and true lesson that you've had for however many years in the past. So I just think that that's really important. Like following the SAMR model, it's like if a kid can use a pencil and a piece of paper to write something, and it's basically the same thing using a Chromebook and typing it, is that transformational? Are we really doing something there? Not so much. So I think it's really important to recognize that. So Google has several courses and certifications that really help guide through that process. And I'm going to talk about this. I'll be leading a couple of teacher instructional lessons after this. But Google has a whole hub of resources that are specifically for educators. And I think that they are doing a really good job. I mean, there's always room for improvement everywhere, of course, but they're doing a really good job of wanting to be very diligent about what makes high quality instruction with AI. What does that look like from a teacher's perspective? What does that look like from a student's perspective? What do parents need to know? What do admin need to know? So they have several different courses that are free. They're self-guided. You can start and stop as you go. And they have a certification course at the very end where you can be a Gemini certified educator. And they even have ones for students as well that you can take the assessment and it will issue a certificate for you at the end when you pass it. And I think it's very well done. Again, it's completely free. A lot of schools are using it for continuing education credits too, which is great, but it's just filled with a lot of knowledge that I've found to be pretty helpful. And I want to ask one real kind of side question here. It doesn't look like anybody is engaging in the chat yet. I just want to make sure that that's working. Like, can somebody just put something in the chat? I just want to, okay, yeah, they've got a bunch of thumbs down. It doesn't look like people can write in the chat. So I think that our Trafera group can, but yeah, see, lots of people are saying, nope, they can't do anything in the chat. So we will look into that. We need to figure that out with settings.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for calling that out because I was feeling a little lonely over here in the chat.
Yeah.
So, although I do appreciate your reactions, keep those coming. It really helps us. And that's this part right here is your active participation in this. Again, for the note takers, we outline not just the certification program, but also the call to action for our instructional leaders, any kind of EdTech coaches, whoever you have around your building that is observing and providing feedback. It is, I think, the right time for us to consider providing those people with professional learning, continuing education, and developing those look for so that they know how to give feedback on this type of instruction. Let's keep going. Yeah, thank you, Kate. Okay, so number 4, this idea of cybersecurity. I'm sorry, this is not the most fun one. We just had a really fun one. Cybersecurity, I don't think is the most interesting topic, but it is what I believe is now core to being a safe school. Look at these numbers. This is wild. So in 2024, we were experiencing as many as 5 cybersecurity events. Most of those being low order threats, but still as many as 5 a week in our schools. 82% of schools in the 2024-2025 school year experienced what we would categorize as a significant cyber attack. And earlier I mentioned that AI was the 2nd ranked priority. Guess what's ranked number 1 in that same Colson poll is cybersecurity. So Kate, if you want to move on to this next part here. Yeah, so I believe that the reason I'm marking this here as a shift, it's not that there's anything, look, cybersecurity has been an issue for a little while, but what I think is beginning to change is your involvement and my involvement, just regular Joe Schmo teachers who are out here on the grind. I think historically, I have thought about cybersecurity as being the responsibility of the tech office. And I'm sad to admit that, but I do believe that, I thought as long as the tech office had their filters in place, that we would all be safe. And I've since abandoned that thought. And I think that we all have a role to play in that because a cyber threat is a threat on our privacy, teaching and learning, and safety. Go ahead, Kate. Yeah, so here's the big shift that I expect in 2026 and beyond is that we will start to see more cybersecurity audits from third parties. I know right now what's very popular is for us to install like an agent or a bot that crawls through the domain and looks for vulnerabilities. And while I think there's a tremendous amount of value in that, what that bot will not do is look under the teacher's keyboard to see if he or she has pasted their password under it. And we know that people do that. And so there's a whole human element of this that I think has to be considered. Advance one more for me, Kate. Anna, this is something that you've talked about quite a bit, for educators to kind of take responsibility for us and start to look at cybersecurity from the teacher's lens. And this is not a commercial for CyberNut, but you and I both appreciate what they do. In case you're not familiar with CyberNut, and I'm sure there's other things that are similar, but they do this idea of like drills. So they simulate cyber attacks, they simulate spam email, and the attempt is to see if teachers will engage in that in the same way that we would simulate fire drills and other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a teacher for 20 years and I was the tech director's nightmare. I just was not diligent about cybersecurity at all. I didn't have any sort of an understanding of how important it was. I would think, I'd share my password, I would keep things out because, obviously I didn't do that with my personal things. But I said, oh, what, somebody wants to hack into my school computer where they could steal my lesson plans, they can have it. Just
Right.
So ignorant and thinking, in just a very narrow way. And I know, I'm the shame. It's me. I'm getting the emoji reactions. I know, and I recognize that now. I know I had a problem, and I'm trying to do better. I promise. But I think that that's so important. I know for a fact I wasn't the only person, and still not the only person that feels that way. And I've just heard these stories where these hackers have gotten into computers, a lot of times from the teachers and the staff, and they have just wreaked havoc on these districts. Like the FBI has to come in. Everything is shut down. There's no internet access. There's no printing access. It is an absolute nightmare, and it affects everyone, and it's dangerous, and it's expensive, and it's just a huge headache. So I am working on putting together a lot of resources and some workshops just to kind of bring more awareness to the educators and the staff, because like Josh said, they really need to be on the front lines. The tech department can only do so much, but the teachers have to have that full understanding of why we have to do the two-factor authentication, why we have to change our passwords, why we can't just have it on a Post-it note on our monitor and share it with the entire world. So, the dangers are becoming bigger and bigger, and just the need for awareness and preventative action is just getting huge. So I think that is a big trend for this next year for sure.
Yeah, I love that call out. And the intent here is not to scare anybody, but just for us to kind of understand the roles that we play. And that was always my misconception is I thought, as a classroom teacher, that the only data that I really have access to is data that no one would really care about. And you made the same joke that I normally do. Anna, is like, yeah, if somebody wants to hack into my account and grade my papers, by all means, go for it. But that's not what they're after. Access to our email address as an educator opens the doors for a lot of things for people that might have ill intent.
Yeah, the Q&A is popping. People are bypassing the comments section, and they're so if you don't know how to access down in the little waffle in the bottom right where it says meeting tools, everybody can go into the Q&A as we're waiting for the comment box to come out. But people are putting in some comments and some questions and some thoughts in there. And Terry said that her district was victim to cybersecurity in July, and they're almost back to normal, but still adjusting to new precautions. So in July, they had an attack, and here we are mid-December, and they're almost back to normal and making some big changes, it sounds like. So
yeah, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Terry, that's good. I love that I have control of my own slides now. We can just keep going. This is my. I know we're not, as presenters, we're not supposed to have favorites. You know, it's just to treat all of our content equally. But I'm telling you, this is my favorite topic to talk about. It's the passion project of my career, and that's digital wellness. I will say that there was a season in my life where I would expect that children would come to my classroom with some measure of influence from parents. And I have since kind of abandoned that. I now believe that if there is a skill or a behavior that I expect in my classroom, I should probably accept the responsibility to teach that, or at least model it. And I think this idea of digital wellness really fits into that category as something that I thought was mostly a parenting issue that I'm starting to accept more as an instructional issue. If you are anything like me, you have taught in classrooms where students stumble in with their eyes all bloodshot and they look exhausted, and you say, Joey, what's going on? And they say, well, I'm sorry, I was up all night, playing video games or, on my cell phone. And this is not just kids. I think we do it too. I mean, I know for a fact that there's been plenty of times when I lay in bed and can't sleep well, and I reach over and grab my phone and then have more stimulus against my eyes, and it makes it harder to fall asleep. And so what I want to say here is that this is not just something that we can blame society or blame culture for, but we have to understand that there are instructional implications here. And not only that, it's like sometimes it matters how we design our learning experiences, knowing that the fuel for a lot of this technology misuse is an underlying desire to be connected with those who we care about. And if we can consider that in our instructional design and design lessons that bring people together, then it's possible that intent to be connected with those who we care about would be fulfilled through the learning experience itself. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here and say, am I the only person in the room who kind of likes their chat bots? Like I feel like the bots that I talk to get me, and sometimes I've even laughed out loud at some of the things that they've said. And I think they're learning our voice and they're learning our tone. And here's something that's a little bit disturbing, but I'm hearing about this now, is people who develop kind of a companionship or a social, like a dependency with their bot. And I'm not, again, we're not here to scare people. I'm just trying to bring awareness that this is something that we're seeing a little bit more of. What I want to say around this and why this matters in 2026 and beyond is I believe that historically we've built this discussion around screen time and balance. And I want to say that it's not just about how much time our students are using their devices, but it's specifically what they are doing with those devices. Because I can use this device that I have to scroll through cat videos on Instagram, or I can use it to change the world in a very positive way. And that is largely up to the parenting influence, and as an educator, how I design my learning experiences. I'll go on here to say, like, this is your call to action. If you're in the call and you're staying with us, I want you to take notes around this. Look for opportunities to make the conversation around technology, digital wellness, more than just about screen time. Let's start to ask the deeper questions. What is the technology being used to do? I'm asking us to remember, if you're anything like me, it's been a long time since undergrad, right? You may not remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but the idea there was that in the center of that pyramid from Maslow's needs, there was the need for belonging. And Maslow suggested that until that need for belonging is satisfied, students won't normally get to that higher order of self-fulfillment. And so also remember, while that need for belonging precedes some of those other higher order needs, students are using their digital devices to fulfill that need for belonging. They're experiencing human connections through that. And so that's something that we should consider as we're designing lessons. I'll end with this. There are two kind of cornerstones that I talk about with digital wellness. Number one is, let's treat this the same way we treat our diet. it's unlikely that if you experience an eating disorder that you're going to go in, somebody's going to tell you just to quit eating, just like we wouldn't tell you to quit using technology. The idea is that you would eat healthier foods, develop a healthier relationship with food. The same thing is true here when it comes to technology use in the classroom. We're not going to tell you to stop using technology or to use it less. We're going to say use it better. And Anna called out this SAMR model. That's a great place to start. Look for opportunities to do look for opportunities to do M's and R's, modification and redefinition, and maybe extend beyond those substitutions and augmentations. And the last one here, look for opportunities to integrate technology in ways that brings learners together, not just isolates them from their peers. Sorry, Anna, I get a little soapboxy on that. I'd be curious to know what's happening in the chat. Do you have any feedback on that?
The chat is, I mean, it's wild. It's a wild ride over here because some people can chat, some people can't. You know, we still have people using the Q&A. It looks like, you know, I'm getting messages from Rusty, who's our Google admin, and he's saying that it seems like there's something going on with Google behind the scenes right now. So if you can't use the chat, please put something in the Q&A. And it looks like some people are having trouble accessing the agenda as well. Pinned link. So we will be looking into that as well. Yeah, it should be forcing a copy, but apparently it's not. So I'm not sure what's going on over here. But yeah, and some people are saying now that they can see the agenda. It's all over the place.
Could I just interject and say, I think we've seen a couple of people in the chat who left the room and then came back, and then they were able to chat.
Yeah, they said they were able to chat after being added as a contributor to the meet. And then Amy says she can see the agenda. It's the slides we don't have access to, which is it all the slides that you don't have access to, or just some of them within the agenda? Just the first one, the main session slides.
That should be forcing a copy.
So the slides that you're presenting, Josh.
Yeah, so in the agenda, if you click on access the slides here, it should force a copy there. And it should just pop up and say, you know, it's a Google Slides document with a blue button that says make a copy.
Yeah, several people are saying that. I mean, it should do that, but it's not. Several people are saying it's just not working that, but it looks like some people it is and some it isn't. So maybe we can share that somehow and see. Yeah, should but doesn't, exactly.
Okay, that's fine. When we go into your next little part, I'll grab it and force a copy through the chat. Yeah. Any feedback on the digital wellness thing, Anna, before I just go on?
I don't think so, but did you mention, Josh, that you did your dissertation on this and that you are Dr. Josh Ratliff?
I didn't, but I did sneakily cite my own research here. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yeah.
So Josh has his doctoral degree based on all of this information here. So that's very impressive. And he is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to digital wellness and just an amazing resource.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. That's very, very kind. It is my life's work. I believe that. So sorry for getting a little soapboxy on that, but I'm a firm believer in when we use technology, let's use the SAMR model, shoot for the higher order technology integration, shoot for you know, some production, not just all consumption, and do it in ways that brings learners together, not just isolates them from their peers. That's my talk track around that. All right, let's keep going. Let's look at number 2. This is one that's so wild. Students as native, you know, we used to use this term like digital native or whatever. I think that's fallen out of favor a little bit, but I think it still works here is as we enter into this generative AI age, we will see learners who have just grown up around generative AI. We know that this is something that is on the rise quickly among students, but still we are waiting on policy or guidance from state agencies, our local school districts, and beyond to know exactly, you know, how we're going to we are expected to work within AI. Before 2022 2 or 3 or so, I think defining academic integrity was pretty straightforward. Now with the introduction of AI, I think that it's becoming a little more complex to talk about where that line is. And we'll get into this a little bit more. Consider this, that fifth graders, this is wild, fifth graders that are coming fifth grade next year, fifth graders, learners who are in fourth grade now going into fifth grade next school year, will have always written with AI, you know, kind of close by. Whether or not they've used it on writing assignments is still to be determined, I think, but it's within an arm's reach of them, which is absolutely wild. And I'll ask you to kind of talk about this a little bit, because you've looked at AI literacy, and there's some programming here on coming up slides too about you know, kind of your approach to AI literacy and why you think this is important, not just for educators, but also for students.
It is. It's just, you know, this has been I've been having some of my best conversations when it comes to AI literacy. And, you know, as educators are becoming more and more comfortable with AI and seeing the benefits, and obviously still having healthy concerns about it, they're starting to become a little bit more open to what that might look like with student use, and how students can also use it to help them with brainstorming and collaborating, and really using it as a safe place to level information to a level that they need to be able to communicate with it, ask questions, and really a judgment-free zone. But all that being said, when students are creating with AI, they need guidance to be able to do that. They don't necessarily know that, you know, even though they wrote down the notes in their notebook and they jotted down some of their thoughts, if they feed all of that straight into Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever they're using, and it gives them that output, they can't just copy and paste that and turn that in as their own work. And I've talked to students who have said things like, well, it was all of my thoughts. I just used that to help, you know, put it together. Isn't that how you're supposed to use AI? So there's a lot of nuances in there of, you know, really showing them what using their author's voice looks like, and, you know, crafting sentences with their own thoughts. Josh and I were just talking yesterday. We came up with an analogy like, you know, yeah, these kids are growing up with AI. It's going to be around for as long as they can remember, but they still need the guidance and the training of how to use it appropriately. You know, we all grew up with cars. Cars have been around forever, vehicles, but we all had to go through class to learn how to drive them safely and effectively and responsibly. You know, you don't just throw somebody in there and say, good luck, hope you figure it out. You know, it's the same with AI. So it's difficult. It's, you know, it's everybody's responsibility. AI literacy shouldn't just fall on the computer science teacher or the ELA teacher. Everybody has to foster this culture and model what good, responsible AI use looks like.
Yeah, and I'll show you on this next slide. This is something that you've done. I love, you know, I think other people have done this. Matt Miller did a great job with it. But my knee-jerk reaction when it comes to like, hey, can we use AI for this assignment is to say either yes or no, like a switch, yes, you know, on or off. AI can be used or it can't be used. And something that you and Matt and others have helped me realize is let's not make that a yes or no question. There's a spectrum that we can kind of talk through. Can you share your approach to this and others that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think a lot of educators that I've talked to have just felt kind of helpless when it comes to AI. Like, well, they're just going to use it. So, you know, I'm going to just try to figure out if it's their writing or if it's their work the best I can. And didn't really consider that they have a say in what this looks like in their classroom and assignment to assignment. You know, there's levels, there's kind of a spectrum that, you know, you talk to your students about, and it's okay to say, you are not allowed to use AI for this. You know, for years and years, we've said you're not allowed to use the internet for this, or this is not an open book test. You know, you can say, no, absolutely not for certain things. And then there's other levels, like, sure, you know, we can use it for minimal use, maybe to generate ideas, to brainstorm, to clarify topics that you might have a misunderstanding about. You know, we're moving up to level 2, and maybe a teacher would allow AI use for students to use to proofread their own written assignments, to look through it for grammatical errors, for some run-ons, maybe make a couple little comments of areas that could be expanded upon. Then we're getting up to that level 3, which is AI for specific tasks. And, for that, you could be using it to, if a teacher gives a really long case study or an essay and it's kind of convoluted and complicated, the teacher might say, it's okay for you to use AI to re-level that to an appropriate reading level or comprehension level for yourself. But, from there on, you have to be using your own thoughts. And then number 4 is full AI use with human oversight. That doesn't mean that AI does all your work for you, but you can be using it for all those different components, for the brainstorming, for the thought partner, for the tutoring, for the releveling, for the editing and proofreading, and combination of all of that. Some teachers might say this is a level 1 and a level 2 assignment. You can use it to brainstorm ideas and you can use it for minimal editing, but everything else has to be on your own. So just kind of setting those parameters, showing what good responsible use looks like, and modeling that in the classroom is, the first steps in this journey, I think. And I know that, the chat is going crazy, and I think that people are probably sharing just some amazing insight. I can't keep up with it.
I was going to call out Sally. Thank you so much. There's lots of good comments in here, but Sally just, stated what I think is the obvious statement here, is that the student responsibility is to disclose how they used AI at what level. If we're at a level 2, then just like you've talked about, there's a new APA citation for AI. Let's
There's
do
APA,
that.
MLA. Yeah, it should be cited. If you're using AI, you need to cite it. Absolutely. Sally, that is a great call out.
Yeah, and even if we're not teaching a formal citation, they should at least disclose, how AI was used within those the guidelines that have been established for that particular assignment. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you guys for being so active in the chat. Here we go. Number 1. Before we do that, let's hit this one. The AI Literacy Hub. This is one of your resources that you called out for me, Anna. And then when you get the linked slide deck, this slide goes out to this Google's AI Literacy Hub. Can you tell them about that before we go on?
Yeah, it is. I was going to find the actual link to put in there. I have it right here that I can just drop in the chat. This is an amazing resource that Google has out there. They have a collection here. You can see at the top, you can toggle to for teachers, for higher ed students and professors, high school students and families. And within there are just a ton of resources. The courses that we talked about to becoming a certified Gemini educator, links to where you can take those tests. There's just different handouts and resources and articles. So it's just a really kind of great catch-all hub for all things Google AI. A lot of really, really great resources in there. It even has like the AI literacy courses for students, the AI quests, and those different links as well, in curriculum.
Love it.
Dawn said our district applies the same disclosure guidelines to staff in using AI for lesson material, PD, flyers, et cetera, creation. Yeah, like if you're using it, be transparent. It's, even if you're generating things with AI and then you're reworking it on your own, which is, I hope that that's what you're doing. That's the idea, not taking everything verbatim. Disclose that.
It's so good. That's so good. You were just celebrating / teasing me about finishing up grad school recently, and we had assignments that we were required to use AI for the assignment and learn how to cite it. So it's cool to see that that's where we're going. Here we go. This is we're getting into the home stretch. This is number 1 for a reason. I know a lot of these sound like they're the same, but I hope you pay attention that there are the slight differences to these. We are entering a phase in 2026 and beyond where we are going to start to build our own AI tools. There was a movement around 2010. You guys help me out in the responses if you remember this, where we started to refer to some web applications as Web 2.0. I asked Anna about that yesterday, and she was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I do not remember that. But Web 1.0, kind of the original World Wide Web, was so one-dimensional. It was like only people who had these very specific computer sciencey and coding programming skills could develop web content. And then we started to see things like, Google Docs and Google Sites and social media platforms like Facebook and MySpace and Yahoo and some of these others where you can talk back to the internet and you can contribute to the internet. That is what we are about to enter in with the AI, kind of the generative AI world, where historically, and I say historically, I mean, the last 2 years or so, it's a weird term, but it's like the only AI that we've really known is the AI that like AI wizards create, people that work at Google or work at Microsoft or whatever. This is we're almost sunsetting that phase now, and we're entering a phase where people that are just regular people like me and you can start to develop really cool AI content. And this comes through the forums. Like if you've seen GEMS, if you've not seen GEMS, you'll get to see them in a session later on. And Notebook LM, these are tools that use generative AI, but where we can build them to do our own kind of custom work. And not only that, but we're starting to see like AI tools that are seamlessly integrated into the tools that we use every day, like your workspace accounts and other things too. Why that matters is I believe that we'll be entering a phase in 2026 and beyond where we will find needs around our local school system, or around your own specific use, even your home use, where you think I really could use an AI bot or an agent to do this, and you and I will be able to create those. This means that for education, for IT leaders, that there's a question that I think we're all kind of facing now in the IT world, and that's like, do I want to allow AI for students or only for teachers or whatever? When that AI tool becomes integrated into literally everything else that they do, it's not just a switch that can be flipped on or flipped off. It's not like I'm just blocking Gemini or allowing Gemini. If those AI features are embedded into, say, Workspace, then it's a more nuanced conversation than just turning it on and turning it off. That we have used the term digital divide historically to mean like, who has computer access at home, who has internet access at home. I think that term is expanded now to who has access to create AI tools and who doesn't. And I think it's really important that we consider the career opportunities with AI. This is not, I believe, with all my heart, this is not something that can necessarily replace a lot of the jobs, but it should. People who do use AI or don't use AI may be replaced by people who do, and they can leverage AI to do certain things. And the career opportunities that it does bring, somebody who knows how to use AI can develop tools that would help change the world in a very positive way. Questions that we should be asking around this. Is this a tool? We have a need locally at our school district. Is this a tool that we need to go buy, or can we find a way to build it ourselves? And if we build it ourselves, how does this impact teaching and learning? How does it impact student data? What data does this bot need to touch? And if we, this is something, and I'll ask you to come in here to talk about this. Am I building this bot or this tool in using chat features that will protect my students' data? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's so important, the privacy and the security behind this. All versions of Gemini in Google Workspace for Education are COPPA, FERPA, and even HIPAA compliant, which I think is very important to know. So anything that you're using, anything that you're building, anything that you're uploading is staying safe and secure within your domain if you're signed into your work, education account. And I've told this story before to Josh, but I think this is so important. I think most of us hopefully realize that, the concerns of putting in students' PII, their personal identifiable information for students, for yourself, or whoever, just out there in these free models. that's just not something you can be doing. It's unethical, it's illegal, and it's just a horrible practice to be sharing private information like that. But it also extends to areas that you might not consider. I was listening to a podcast of a high school student. She had just finished high school and she was in an advanced placement creative writing class, and her teacher was handing back the work to the class and said, I want to be transparent that I did use ChatGPT to help grade these papers, but I went through it myself, and I used my own thoughts and my own training and what I know about you, and I put, I personalized it to everybody, but I did use ChatGPT to help give me ideas. And the student raised her hand and she said, well, did you use a secure paid version or was it the free version? And the teacher said, well, I used the free version, but I didn't include anybody's names. And the student expressed to the teacher that she was still very upset about this because those were her thoughts. Those were her creative ideas. That was her author's voice. And she didn't consent to the teacher putting it out there, because really nothing's free, right? Everything's used to train the model. So by the teacher uploading that student's work, it's out there. It's out there for the model to be trained. And, the teacher or the student recognized that that's a small drop in the bucket, of a huge thing, but she should have had the right to consent to that or not, and she didn't, and she expressed that to the teacher, and the teacher just didn't even consider that and was horrified. And when you know better, you do better, and she certainly isn't going to do that again. But I just thought that was a really interesting perspective when taking into consideration other components of privacy and security.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it is the world that we live in. I think there is a tendency right now for us to say, hey, like we have resources now, we can build a little agent that would do this or build a bot that would do this. And I know educators are going to want to build applications that can help craft feedback and all that. And I'm for it. I think we should do that. But I think it is our responsibility to consider who has access to that data, and are we using paid versions that keep that data secure, or are we feeding the bot? Okay, here we go. This is I'm so excited for this. We're going to play a game, and I've asked some folks from Trafera to be on the call and play the game. The thing is, they do not know what this game is or why they have been asked to do this.
We're a little concerned.
Yeah, you should be concerned. So let's do this. Let's take down the slideshow, and I'm going to do another screen share. Somebody react in the use the reactions button. If you know what this is, do a thumbs up or a heart or something. Have you been to an Ignite session? Do you know what that is? Anybody know what an Ignite session is? No? Okay, some of you do. All right. So in case you don't know what an Ignite session is, that's a session. They do them at EdTech conferences. They're a lot of fun because the presenter has 20 seconds to present their slide. And then at the end of those 20 seconds, it just goes right on to the next slide, whether they are ready for it or not. And it's a lot of fun because everybody has more to say than what you can generally squeak out in 20 seconds. So I've asked some folks to be on this call who are going to play an Ignite session with me. And the catch is they don't know what slides they are supposed to be presenting.
Great.
So you already met Anna. Kristen, can you unmute and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can see my face, but I'm concerned about this.
We can see your face.
I'm
Yeah.
Kristen. I'm a teaching and learning consultant as well, like Anna, former teacher in Louisiana, and I'm really worried about what y'all are going to hear come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
If you've
Yeah.
had any time with me, you should all be concerned.
That's so funny. That's so funny. And with Kristen is also Lindsay, Lindsay, you are in trouble. Minus 25 bonusly points because you said you were not going to be here. So I did not make slides for you. So somehow
I'm
you're
not mad
magically
about
off
it.
the hook.
I am not mad about it. She can have mine.
Did that on purpose.
So you're going to get to
Throw
just
me
participate
out the picture if I screw up. Like
It's
she can
fine.
just
Yeah.
go, bam.
Yeah, there we go. And so you know Anna, now you know Kristen. John, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I am terrified of whatever this is, just terrified. But let's do it. So yeah, I'm John Hill. I'm a member of this team, always and forever in my heart, an educator, and now on the sales team at Trevera. So let's go.
Yeah,
He's
let's
still one of
go.
us. He's one of
Okay,
us.
so here's how this will work. I'm gonna push play on this video, and you have slides. You will know which slides are yours. You have a 20-second countdown to present what's on the slide. Who knows if this is going to... I did set this to music. We don't get the music for this, unfortunately, because I'm not sure how that will work. So we're just going to try to do this. And you have about 20 seconds. There's a timer on the slide, so that will help guide you. Are you guys ready?
No.
No. All right, here we go.
Oh man.
Bum, bum, bum.
Am I supposed to be going? What am I
Yeah,
doing?
go.
Oh, guided learning in Gemini. This is an amazing tool right there in the drop down in Gemini. It's great for students for personalized learning. They can put in a math question, any sort of question, and it's going to walk them through the steps of how to solve it. It's not going to give them the answer. It's going to walk them through the steps of how to solve it. One of my favorite tools in Gemini. Amazing.
Nice job, Anna. That's good.
Thanks.
All right, Johnny, here we go.
Oh, okay. So this is really important. Teachers, as much as students, really want a snow day. When when you hear there's snow coming, you're really getting excited about it. I want you all to know my foolproof method of predicting a snow day. It's called the stool of closings. Everybody knows that stools have 3 legs. The 3 legs have to be in place. It's accumulation, hype, and timing. If you don't have all 3 of those, you're not having a snow day.
Nice.
Oh, I can
Kristen.
talk about this. Just nano banana. Just say it, and then you're going to love it because whoever came up with this name is fantastic. So this is Gemini's new way, or it's the technology, the brain power behind all of the image creation. So it exists there in Gemini. Go to gemini.google.com. It's available for everyone. I love the banana emoji. And you can drop down and select images, which will have the nano banana by it.
Oh, brother. Oh, yeah. Okay. So talking to like high school and college kids lately, I'm hearing that like when they have to go watch a video as part of their class and post a comment, a lot of kids are just using AI to post those comments. So there's none of their heart or soul in that comment. And then they're assigned to go comment on each other's comments. And then, AI is doing those. So it's like a vacuum of non-humans. Sorry, but I didn't make it in the 20 seconds there.
Groundhog Day and Cinco de Mayo. These were my very favorite holidays when I was teaching 3rd grade. Groundhog Day, we made a huge deal about it. The kids had to wear all black. They were shadows. We created silhouettes. We had Groundhog Day dirt cups. Cinco de Mayo, my daughter was born on the 5th day of the 5th month at 5:55 p.m. and her favorite number is 9. So
Awesome.
Oh, there's no 20 seconds isn't enough. I have 3 teenage boys and they tear through Christmas presents like a ridiculous, just crazy time. So now they have to do a scavenger hunt on Christmas morning and they really don't like it, but they do like it. So I have to give them, they just see all presents wrapped exactly the same and they have to solve some kind of clue to get the number that matches their present. It makes it to where all of the fun lasts longer for mama.
Aw, good job, you guys.
that was fun. Yeah, that was a lot.
That's awesome. Very, very good work. Awesome. I had no idea if that was going to work or if that would be a miserable failure, but you guys did an excellent job.
Miserable failure. That was a lot of hope there.
All right,
That
ready,
was a little
Josh?
countdown, too. Those were
20
pretty fancy slides for you, Josh. That was impressive.
I made those.
Josh has to do quantum physics in 20 seconds. Ready?
Hey, Sarah Jolly just put in the chat that my parents would set a trap. We had to go through Mission Impossible style to get to our Christmas gifts. That's amazing.
I need you to have my
like an
email.
obstacle
Sarah.
course.
Yeah, Sarah, find my email and I want to know how that works because I need to get these teenagers on board with mama's shenanigans.
Megan wants to build that into their school's PD. That's a good idea. Like, yeah, have people go up and do that, just those rapid fire. Yeah, look at you inspiring people out there, Josh. Good job.
Yeah, and somebody, Mason just says the AI vacuum reminds me of the dead internet thing. I don't know if you guys heard that theory that it's just bots talking to bots out there. So we want to make sure we're not doing that, right? That we're actually, there's a human in the loop. Awesome. That was so much fun. I'm glad that you guys have access to the slides. There's a ton of resources in there. Our email addresses are in there. So yeah, let's not let this session begin and end right here. Let's keep the conversation going. Kate, I'll hand it back to you and you can wrap us up.
Sure. Okay, one thing, because I know a lot of people were coming in and out, I just want to do my housekeeping one more time about how to get your DoorDash gift card. So again, if you want to qualify for that, you need to stick around for the day. You know, we're doing a 3 hour, is it 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours worth of training and talk tracks. So stick around with us. We have an exit survey that you'll get in your last session of the day. That is your way of kind of saying, hey, give me that gift card. So make sure you are definitely here for the second talk track, and you take that survey at the end, and then we'll get you your DoorDash gift card as a little holiday thank you. So as for how the talk tracks are going to work, I put in the chat the links to your specific talk tracks. So if you're a teacher, which I spelled wrong, oops, sorry teachers. If you're a teacher, we're going to have you go off and do Anna's session on Google AI Toolkit. If you're an admin, we have a session for you as well. Those links to the different meetings are in the chats. Plan B, contingency plan. Instead of breakout rooms, we're sending you off into some new meetings. So click